are one. When my boot comes down on your neck, we are one. That's right. Piano solo. Do you feel it? I feel it. It's got me by the feels. So bad, baby.
So I logged in earlier and I saw a message from Jeff Snyder. And the message says that your topic is going mainstream. Watch the video just uploaded by the channel called Redacted with Clayton Morris, where they discuss synthetically induced mental illness and voice to skull. Video titled COVID-19 Shot Turn Your Body into a Transmitter. And I was like, oh shit. So I went to check it out, and it's actually perfect timing for the video that I was going to release. So I'm just going to combine the two videos together, and we will get an overall look at what's going on. Thanks for posting that as well, man. I appreciate it. I ended up buckling up and watching the entire video. And although I don't disagree with a lot of what he says is true. There are some things that I totally disagree with that he ends up kind of admitting towards the end. And let me say this too, that the title of the video is kind of misleading because it makes people believe that if they don't have the COVID shot, they are immune to this type of manipulation. And that is not the case at all. So I'll kind of point out what I'm getting at along the way. I think I've got like a 3-minute clip here. Let's go over that and we'll talk about what's going on.
But graphene oxide specifically amplifies RF signals, okay? Basically, our health systems have been weaponized against us.
Okay, that's true. But what they're not talking about is things like fungus. Things like fungus are on literally on the cutting edge of energy and signals, and a simple fungus in the body, assembling in the body, which happens naturally, can create what would technically be called in science a sensor, right? So you could have a sensor on you and not realize it. The fungus on the skin could be a sensor, and you don't realize what's happening. But it's in science right now. It's huge. If you go over my videos from the past, you will see this everywhere. They are talking about lighting things with fungus, transferring energy and transferring information with fungus, all sorts of cutting edge shit. And, you know, they're talking about this now, but talking about this 10 years ago was considered batshit crazy by a normie. Like, they could not grasp what was going on. It was totally Star Trek to them.
That is what's happened now. And each and every human being who has this in them, this nanotech, is a node. You are connected to the internet. Each and every one of us is a transmitter and a receiver.
That's true. But what they're talking about a lot in this video are implants. Implants. When you've got a fungus and you have different particles in the air that can pass the blood-brain barrier, you don't need implants. Implants can grow within the body. And that's how they get to these weird places where somebody didn't have a medical procedure, but yet they've got one, you know, in this deep spot within their body.
Now remember, again, when you read that New World Vistas report on page 89, and even go further to the other report that talks about them being able to remotely read your thoughts back to 1972.
Okay, let's talk about that real quick. Remotely read your thoughts back in 1972. If they could read, they can send, right? Now, they're not sending just signals. It's all brand confusion. You have to realize that. And it's affected pop culture. It's affected the mental health industry. It's affected the medical industry. It's created sensations like The Son of Sam. It's created Amityville. All of this kind of shit was created and caused by this type of technology. All these modern shooters, you know, James Holmes hearing the voice of Obama talking to him. All of this was created with technology. And it affects everything. It goes way deeper than what people think.
This system will have the ability to do that on a mass scale once the 6G is turned on.
That's not true, and I don't believe that. And here's why. It's already happening, and it's been on a mass scale for a long time. You cannot get an accurate reading on people if they believe that they are being monitored. You have to have, for true data, people cannot believe that they are being monitored with what they do in their everyday life. If they know that they're being monitored, they have to be completely oblivious to it to act naturally, to get real samples of people. When they do this to somebody, it's flat out torture because it goes overt, so to speak, so that the person knows that it's happening to them. And they want to see how it happens. And they do all sorts of samples from different walks of life, from poor people to rich people to white people to black people. The sample spectrum is vast, very, very vast.
That we are too dumb to make good decisions for ourselves. That's the mentality that we're dealing with at the upper echelons.
That's true. Now check this out. This is very important because a piece of information slides by here. And this is a couple. And the woman started having this happen to her. But he didn't believe it. He thought she was crazy. So let's go over this real quick.
Without John supporting Bonnie through this, remember, he thought she was crazy. But we were able to show proof on this journey that she wasn't. Okay?
He did.
And think about their relationship. This can happen to any one of you.
And this is what I've been talking about for 12 years. It's imperative for people to understand what is happening so that they don't turn on family members. So you don't turn on your wife or your husband or your loved ones or your friends or whatever. None of this is natural. And it happens to these people. And like it's being shown here, you know, the spouse totally doesn't believe it until it is proven to them. And then they are totally on the other side. And it doesn't take that much to prove it.
Okay? And how would you feel if you let the love of your life go because someone synthetically induced mental illness?
True.
And it was very difficult. The 7 years before we met Jesse, it was hell, basically, because I didn't trust what she was saying, didn't trust what she was acting. Take her to the hospital. They put her in 72-hour lockup because they say that, oh, it's schizophrenia. That's what they use against you. It's not fair. It's a horrible thing.
That's weaponized mental health. I just talked to a neighbor the other day who I don't speak to very often, not a direct neighbor, but down the street, and was in a lot of pain and had thrown a medicine cup for an appendix issue. Had thrown the medicine cup empty, right? And this little plastic cup hit the nurse. She reported it, and they were trying to put him on a 72-hour hold. For that, it's weaponized mental health. So you piss somebody off, you get a welfare check, or you get 5150. This goes down, and they just say, it's schizophrenia. It's weaponized mental health. That is what mental health was invented for in the first place. The entire mental health industry.
That's what they use against you. It's not fair. It's a horrible thing, and we're lucky we made it through it. We went through everything. I take her to wherever it's necessary to get help, and we've got some surgical removal, and then maybe we can have our life come back, but our life has not been normal.
It's important to bring up here that a lot of this talk that this guy talks about is implants. They don't need implants, dude. And these people, I hate to say this, but they're going to find it out when they remove these implants because they say something very key here that kind of slips by, and they don't go into detail about it in this video. It's very, very strange to me that it slipped by and they don't talk about it.
We should be enjoying our retirement, but it's very difficult to do that when she's tortured 24/7 with voice and torment.
Voice and torment. She's hearing voices. This is all brand confusion. Havana syndrome, the shot turning you into a transmitter. It's all the same thing. It's brand confusion. So she's hearing voices, right?
With voice and torment.
So we're going to get into this because the signals that they use are, let's say, 5,000 megahertz. It's just an example. With many other different signals. Shot up, bounced back down. What they create is an interference signal. And the interference signal can be an acoustic signal. So they can use these signals to monitor, to send and receive, and also create these acoustic, like mechanical vibration signals that people hear. That is how this is done. It's not all microwave, because if it was all quote unquote microwave, somebody could step into a Faraday cage and it stops. But no one wants to talk about that. When you step into a Faraday cage, it doesn't stop because it's ELF, it's low frequency and sound. Sound is not stopped by a Faraday cage. And these are audible signals that travel through the ground. This is why hum hearers who are in the same camp can hear it louder when they go underground. And I'm going to show you an example of this, of something that I just caught online that I thought was amazing that no one else heard. We'll get into it.
It's a horrible thing. It's unbelievable, actually. So, anyway, sorry. Very emotional. Jesse, thank you.
With the nanotech, we know that an injection is a modality for it to be in you, but it's also in our foods. It's being marketed in the cosmetics as the next greatest way of marketing things.
That's totally true. What he says there is totally true. And this is the most important thing that he says in the entire interview, because it shows that they're not quite getting what is going on.
And we still haven't figured out why those who live out in distant, remote areas are still coming up positive in at least 3 or 4 locations.
Because they don't need implants. This is in the air, it's in your environment. This fungus is everywhere. And once people have a buildup of so much of this in their system, they begin to feel the sensations or hear it, and they become sensitized, what I call sensitized, to these frequencies. There's one more thing that they point out here, and it's kind of weird that they even point it out, and I want to show you that real quick. Now here, a guy has an RF meter on the ground, puts a Faraday cage over it, and he wants to know why there are EMF readings coming from the ground, right? And I believe that they're in the graveyard, but let's listen to what he says here.
Can someone explain to me why we're getting EMF emissions off grave inside of a Faraday cage, please?
Yeah, I'd love to answer that. Is he wrong about them coming from graves? Probably not. I don't know. I can't say for certain. He could absolutely be right about that. But it is also coming from the ground because they bounce these signals off the ionosphere, off the atmosphere, and back down into the ground, creating interference signals. It's the same type of signaling that they use for Earth tomography. The same kind of thing. When you create these interference signals that can travel through anything and go anywhere, that is what creates a weaponized system for surveillance and for other purposes, nefarious purposes, that you cannot get away from. It's impossible to get away from it. So that's why. Now, I've showed you on this channel, case after case, year after year, that every one of these people who does something quote-unquote crazy, they always hear voices, and they always have voices going on in the background of their recordings. Remember the Robert Westman case, or the Robin Westman case that happened in Minneapolis, I believe, or near there? In that case, I proved that he was having other voices in the room with him when he was completely alone, going over the magazines for his weapons. And he was talking to himself in the video and recording, and you can hear another voice talking to him. Check it out here. That was Westman. This is not Westman. You hear this voice talking to him throughout the whole thing. And there's a female and a male voice. This always happens. It is no coincidence that every one of these people doing crazy things has a voice that just happens to mysteriously show up in all these recordings. You have to pay for solitude? And that's just one good example. Now, I'm going to show you one that happened on a train that I just found and analyzed before I found that comment and went and watched that video. I was watching this video of a crazy woman or a crazy trans person on the LA Metro. And it had lots of views. And no one noticed the audio. You're on this train, right? It's a loud train traveling around, making lots of noise, yet you hear this whisper come through on the train, and the crazy person is nodding to it. This is the original video. I did nothing to this. I'm going to show you this first, and then I'm going to enhance the audio. Check it out. You can hear the voices because the conditions are just right for them to show up on the recording. Right there. Now, for a whisper to show up on a train traveling, making lots of noise, you would have to be right next to the microphone. Right next to the microphone, or it would have to be loud enough to overpower the sounds of the train. If you're into acoustics or audio, you'll understand what I'm saying here. But it doesn't happen. It's flat up against the microphone. That's the way it comes across. So let's watch what happens here, and then I'm going to show you the actual audio. All through there. And this person's clearly been driven mad by it.
Please don't spray that near me.
Fuck you! Get the fuck up, fucking bitch!
Yeah, see? So that's what a voice really sounds like on the train.
Get the fuck up,
Please don't spray that near me.
It doesn't sound like this. Like a whisper. Let me show you the audio. Now, this is the whisper that I isolated and brought up in the video. And then I'm going to show her reacting to it because I put this audio back over the original video. So check this out. This is the whisper right here. And it almost sounds like it says it's not from a speaker. It's very weird. Right there. And it's got that robo voice to it. It doesn't sound natural because that's the way this stuff operates. When you catch it with a microphone, it's totally different than when a human being hears it, for example, because human beings are a large percentage water, mostly water, and it's going to come across in the inner ears differently to somebody who is sensitized than it is catching it with a microphone. That's another one, but it's garbled. That's a different one.
Please don't spray that near me.
fuck you! Get the fuck up, fucking bitch!
Now, let's put that audio back over and watch her react to it. Here's the original, just the original audio, where it sounds like a whisper, and it's a close-up. I want you to see her nodding to what it's saying. Hear that? And you see her nodding in agreement? It's still talking, and she starts spraying. Now, let's turn up that audio and watch her nod and react to it. Now, go back and listen to it if you need to, and remember that this was barely audible. It was just a whisper in the car. It was barely audible. And what I did was I boosted it up. And a lot of these, they're either flat on the mic, or they seem to sound as if they have their own reverb built into them. This one seems to have its own reverb built into it, as though it sounds like it was pre-constructed. Now, check this out. You're going to see her totally, I'm just calling it her because it kind of looks like a her. I don't know, right? I got to say something. You can see it react to what it says, clearly. The person nods their head. Check it out. See that? They're reacting to what is being said. That whisper brought up can be heard, and they were hearing it. And none of that was clearly audible. And the camera isn't even picking up whatever they're doing with their mouth. So whatever was being picked up there is not natural.
Please don't spray that near me.
Fuck you! Get the fuck up, fucking bitch!
They're clearly been driven insane by this but it's not natural. This is artificial mental illness brought on. And it's no coincidence that every time I find one of these videos, every time I find something in the audio that is reacting and talking to them. There are hundreds of videos on this channel showing exactly that. So what I'm getting at here is that I think they're going to be very disappointed when they remove these quote-unquote implants from that woman at the beginning of the video and then find out that she's still hearing these voices because they think that these implants are causing it. These transduce into mechanical vibrational sound. They're interference signals that are created. And when the circumstances are just right, they're very loud, like this one, where you can hear it. Look, I'm glad that Redacted covered this. And I'm glad that they put somebody on there who isn't a complete jackass, because there are some jackasses in this whole scene that talk some serious jive, like mega jive. And they use their credentials as cover to try to slip this by the people. And it's dangerous, and it's flat out disinformation. And a lot of these people are affiliated with these organizations and shit like that too, which makes it super dangerous because you've got people that are looking for help and they are getting really bad information from really bad people. But what concerns me about the Redacted thing is the possibility of subversion of information, like people reading the title and believing that if they're not vaxxed, then they don't have to worry about this. And the emphasis that they put on these implants, right? Somebody may have relics, like Timothy McVeigh had something in his ass. And they talked about, tagging these soldiers with implants back in the day. However, we are beyond implants at this point, especially with nano. So they're talking about nano and they're talking about implants. And it's like, implants are relics, dude. And there really is no need for implants when the technology that they have out now is far beyond that. And you really have to look at what the legal definition of a sensor is. The scientific definition of a sensor can be a piece of dust or anything in the air. And fungus, it can all be dumped and it can quote-unquote self-assemble inside you, which is just another term for grow. So my only concern is the subversion of information. And we have to be very, very careful about that, because it will take you to a place where you're watching this happen and then people are admitting that they don't really know what's going on, which kind of happens in the video when he says that they can't figure out why these people are coming down with this kind of stuff way out here in remote areas who haven't had some medical operation or something like that. So you have to be very, very careful about it. And to prove my point about all of this, what you have here is you have people that are taking medication for schizophrenia, right? And these schizophrenics are admitting that when they get near an air conditioner or anything that makes noise, a vacuum cleaner, a hot water tank, a dryer, whatever, refrigerator, they begin to hear voices, right? Whether they're on medication or not. So check this out. This is from an earlier video. If you're taking medication and it, quote, cures schizophrenia, then why are you hearing voices when you are next to something that makes noise? Listen to part of this guy's story.
Carrington Wallace is another member who has found a purpose at the clubhouse. His childhood was spent mostly in foster care. Then a few years ago in his mid-20s, the voices began.
That's the schizophrenia. That's schizoaffective disorder.
Wallace knows the voices he hears aren't real, but even his meds can't completely silence them.
I can't sleep at night sometimes because the air conditioner that I have on won't shut up. It'll keep talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, and I can't cut it off.
That's because these are sound waves and they ride on things that make noise. It blends in because it is noise, and it auto gains on, like, say, an air conditioner or a refrigerator or all this. I have lots of videos that go into depth about this, but it's strange that you're taking medication for schizophrenia and it doesn't work if you're next to something that makes noise. That's a little bit suspect. And that is it for now. Look out for Charlie.
They're just frequencies, dude. Man-made frequencies.
That's it.
No! No, 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 no! No! Not this fucking time! No fucking way! No fucking way! No fucking way! No fucking way!
What the son of a bitch thinks? I want him stoned.